This is Studio 809.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Outdoors Hiking Bob podcast. I am your host, Hiking Bob Falcone, and you can find me on my website at hikingbob.com, which has links to my social media accounts, my columns at the Colorado Springs Independent, all the other podcasts I've done, and my photography website. Also, you could sign up for my newsletter or just drop me an email if there's something you'd like to hear. And we also would like to have you be a patron of the podcast and help support it and pay the bills and things like that. All of that is available at patreon.com, patreon.com/hikingbob. There's also links to that on my website, so feel free to check that out. Today I have a very special guest, probably the most special guest we've had on this podcast. And it's a remarkable woman. You've heard me talk about her before on this podcast. We recently celebrated her 85th birthday, and it was a great evening and a lot of family and friends there. But we're not here to talk about birthdays in as much as we are to talk about outdoor recreation. We'll get to how that all connects here in just a second. But my guest today is my mother. We'll call her America's grandmother, Rose Falcone. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to see you. We're back east in New Jersey where Mom lives, where I grew up. And I came out here for a few days to celebrate her birthday with a bunch of friends. But what we're here to talk about is how my mom, how you are at 85 years old, how you remained so active. And we'll talk about the things you do. Okay. And I think it's kind of where genetically I got my desire to be outdoors and hiking from. Yes. But let's start way back at the beginning. You tell us about how you grew up in Italy. You were born and raised in Italy.
Yes.
So tell us about how you ended up. Tell us about your life there and how you ended up in the United States.
Well, my life there was, we survived the war. I grew up I was a young child, but the war ended when I was 8 years old.
Talking about World War II.
World War II. And after that, my mom, unfortunately, got very sick and passed. And things were very difficult. In Italy, there was no income coming in and jobs were scarce. So my dad remarried and came to the United States. And I followed him a few years later when I was just about 16 years old. Okay. I got on the Angiadoria ship and I crossed the Atlantic. It took 8 days to get here. I landed in Ellis Island in 1954, October 16th. 1954, I'm sorry. And then took off from there. I moved in with my dad and his new wife, and my sister was already here by then. And got a job working in a little sweatshop, and at nighttime I would take the bus downtown Newark to learn the language because I didn't know any English or whatever. And I would go to the YMCA. They had classes that taught you to speak the language. And because I didn't know how to read the signs, so I had this gigantic, it's like a margarita glass at a bar. It was displaying, it was neon. So when I saw that glass that was on the boat, I was on the bus. When I saw the glass from the bus, I would pull the cord and the bus would stop, and I knew that was my stop because I didn't know how to read signs.
Gotcha. So you had a landmark.
I had a landmark, and without that, I would have probably been East Jabib forever.
You've been still driving around Newark
still
on a bus.
Still being a bus somewhere else. And the bus was easy because there were numbers. So the numbers in Italy and the numbers in the United States are the same.
A number's a number.
Numbers are numbers. So I knew I had to take the 54 bus, but I didn't know the street, the name. So I would see that sign, and it was a gigantic sign. It was beautiful, and I knew that when I saw that the next stop was mine. So I would pull the cord and get off the bus, and that's how I learned to speak.
And hopefully at 16 you weren't going in the bar with the margarita glass.
No, I didn't even try to go in the bar. I did though started smoking because I thought, I'm free and I'm 16, I'm in the United States, I could buy cigarettes. And that was a challenge. Because the cigarettes were, the brands, I didn't know how to say Chesterfield and all them, but I saw this one brand that says L&M. and it's the same in the United States as it is in English as it is in Italian. So I smoked L&M for a number of years because it's the only name I could pronounce. But yeah, that was that, and then things. We moved around a little bit. My dad and my stepmother passed, and we moved on the third floor apartment. My dad and I took care of him, and then I met your dad, and we got married, and
Okay. And you and Dad were not, when you were in Italy, when he lived in Italy, you lived in Italy, we're not that far apart.
Right.
But obviously never met till you got to this country.
No, never.
Right.
The towns were not that far apart, but in those days seems like farther than it would be now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know the name of the town. We know the name of the town, Roseto, but to us young kids and didn't travel much, seems like miles and miles away.
Right. Now it's a relatively short drive.
A couple
apart.
of hours drive, which I've done it many times.
Right.
Yeah. And we met in Orange, New Jersey, and we went to a movie together. It was like a chance meeting.
Right.
And that was it.
That's it. Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're down here in southern New Jersey, where I wasn't born here. Me and my brother and sister were not born in this part of the state, but we moved down here when I remember moving down here when we were kids. I think I was, 8 or 9 years old?
We moved down here in 1967.
Okay, so I was 8 years old when we moved down here. And we're sitting now in a condo that you live in now that's about 2 miles from the house we spent most of our life in.
Right.
Nearby. And for people who aren't aware, if the only thing you know about New Jersey is what you see at the beginning of The Sopranos with smokestacks and oil refineries and that kind of stuff. But this part of the state is very rural. We're in a heavily wooded area. People have been watching my social media the last couple of days. They've seen lots of pictures I posted of forest and lakes and rivers and fall colors and that kind of stuff.
One of the reasons we moved to South Jersey, because we did live in the city when you were younger. And it was very crowded, and there were people living above us, your kids had no place to play. You had to play on the sidewalks. And Dad and I decided that these kids can be penned in. So we made the decision to move to because first of all, your father's sister lived down here, and we would travel down here to visit. So we thought, it would be a good place for kids to grow up. They could be outdoors. But I was reluctant to move because I was living in the city, and now you're going to put me someplace where there was no bus transportation. I didn't drive in those days,
right.
And I resisted for the longest time. Finally, things got tough in the city, and you guys were getting bigger, the schools were far away, and so we decided to make the move. And we moved, and when I moved, I thought, oh my God, what the heck am I doing here? There's nothing. The houses were very few on our block. There was nothing across the street. The nearest store was 3 or 4 miles away, and I didn't drive then.
Right.
But eventually we made it work. Right. And you guys loved the house because we had a big yard, and it was beautiful back there.
I think that house was on 3/4 of an acre or something like that. But when you lived in Italy, you lived on a farm. Am I correct on that?
No, we had a farm.
You had a farm, okay.
And we would go to the farm.
You lived in the city there?
We lived in the town, and then the farm was my grandfather, and it was left to my mom.
Okay.
And we had people working the farm, but we would go to the farm, spend the summers out there.
Gotcha.
Our summers were spent on the farm, because there was a big house on the farm. The people that worked the farm had a part of it, and we had another part of the house where we stayed when we went there.
Gotcha.
It was a beautiful place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to fast forward a bunch of years.
Yes.
Like I said, me and my brother and sister, we all grew up there in that house, and we've all now, obviously have moved on and gone. Very well. Unfortunately, Dad passed away, some years ago. And here you are. We just celebrated your 85th birthday.
Yeah, just shocking.
No, to be honest with you, I'm not shocked at all. But let's talk about how you got, I'm trying to think of the right word here. It's easy to say that you're very much thriving. We're sitting in this condo you live in, and it's beautiful, and you are, for somebody, and I'm trying to say this without making it sound like I'm pandering or anything, but at 85, you live by yourself. You're
Right.
completely self-sufficient.
Right.
You drive, and I may add, with a extremely clean driving record.
Yeah.
Even though Miss Leadfoot here sometimes gets stopped by the police.
Yeah, but
I'm kidding.
they
I'm
all
kidding.
know me. They all love me, so they don't.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you're. I've driven with you. You're not dangerous on the road or
No.
anything like that. And I think a lot of people younger than you don't make it. And there are also 85-year-old people who are just as
Do more than I do.
who do more than you do. It's not a contest here. But tell people about what you do here, and like, for example, I go out hiking. It turns out, I think I picked that up from you. Tell people about how you enjoy the outdoors, and how you think that connects to how you're doing at this stage in your life.
Well, I started walking when your dad got sick, and when the nurse would come take care of him, she would say, just get out and walk to clear the air. And I found it, because prior to that I was working, I didn't have time to walk or do whatever I want to do. And I started walking, and I thought, oh, this is nice. But I used to walk on my street, and I thought, well, this is not, I see the neighbors, you stop and talk. That's not walking, it's socializing. I want to get out and walk. So I kept walking and walking and walking. Then I would come up to you, after we would come up to Colorado, and I started going out with you. But my walking is my, I don't know how you put it, my peace time, my self time, that I walk and I keep walking. Sometimes I walk and I don't realize. One day I walked 5 miles one way, and all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I got to get back. And that was a challenge. I did it because I had no choice. I had to come back. But I love to explore different trails, and I just love to be out there. It's peaceful, it's quiet, it's calming, because my age, you get a little nutsy sometimes, because things come to your head and think about the past and the future and what took place and what didn't take place. So if you're in a house, those thoughts come because there's nothing to distract you.
Right.
Being outdoors, find different trails to go to, and it's just very therapeutic. And I rationalize things in my head. I talk to myself as I'm walking and saying, I just do it because it's just, for me, the only thing that keeps me where I'm at now.
Okay.
It's healthy for me. I spoke to my doctor about it. She said, don't ever stop. And I really rarely get a cold or the flu or the COVID. I never even came close to get that. And it's just something that I enjoy doing tremendously.
Okay. So let's talk about the two different factors here, one of which is the mental health part of things. So it really, and we've talked about this on the podcast, if people listen to this have heard us talk about this, but you're a really good example of that. I imagine that as you get older and you worry about things, and,
Right.
And you live by yourself, and it's easy for things to happen. You find it, though, really a big boost to your mental health.
Absolutely.
To be out there. And you've talked to counselors and stuff like that, and you mentioned your doctor. They pretty much told you, just go out there and walk.
Yes, yeah. The one counselor said, you just go to the senior center and play bingo, and I just kind of freaked out. I said, I'm not doing that. I am not, I need to be moving, because I think, and just a few weeks ago, somebody said to me, have you ever knee replacement or hip replacement? I said, no, I done none of that. What do you mean? You're 85. I said, what's that got to do with that? But walking, it's not just, it's good for your joints as well. I don't take, the only times I would take something is when I walk. When I come home from a walk, I take those little arnica pills that it's anti-inflammatory, because when you start to hurt, but it's not painful.
Right.
Just because I walked a lot.
A little sore.
And the thing with me is that I start walking, I don't realize how far I walked.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time I walk farther than I intend to, because I don't realize that I'm going, then all of a sudden, oh crap, excuse me, I got to come back. So now I'm 2 miles out, so now I got to come back. Now it's 4 miles, and
Right.
I intended to walk 4 miles.
Right.
But I do, I just keep walking, and it's just like I'm in a peaceful, happy, joyful place for me.
Okay. Good. So, when you're doing these things,
Mm-hmm.
how do you find different trails to visit and places to go?
I just go online and search what's around the area that I live in, and I do find places that I like to go, and I try them. Some work, some don't,
Mm-hmm.
And I get in the car and I would drive to this place called Batstow, which is about half hour from here, 45 minutes.
Not even that far.
Not even that far. I love that place. It's just fantastic. And I did one trail once. There was not a soul in sight, and I kept walking and walking. That's my happy place,
Right.
Batstow.
Right, and we talked that's Batstow State Park, which is just about 20-minute drive from here, and some of the pictures I've been posting on social
Right.
media have been from there, and it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
I remember
God,
going there when
yeah.
I was a kid
Yeah.
living here. So what I want to concentrate on is there's a misconception, I think,
Mm-hmm.
that people of your age are not technologically adept. But here
Right.
you are, you're sitting there, your laptop's in front of you, your iPhone is next to you,
Right.
and you're perfectly capable of looking these things up and
Yeah.
taking your iPhone, and you know how to use the GPS
Yes.
in it, and it gives you directions, because as you
Right.
mentioned to me before we started, you're not good with directions, but you can follow the GPS on your
I
phone.
can find my car on my phone, and I know where my car is, so I head towards that. Well, the computer came out of I love technology. I love it. I just love it. And before I got into all this, I had you guys at home and your dad, and you did all this stuff for me. And once you're all went your own way, and your dad passed, I thought, well, I got to figure out. I can always call Bob. I can always call Jim, or I couldn't call your dad, obviously. So I thought, somehow I got to figure it out. And you were a big help to me, because I was like hesitant to go on the computer. I'm going to screw something up. And you said to me, "Don't worry about it, Mom. It'll be fine." And I learned, and I kept going from there. I don't let it stop me. If there's something I don't know how to do, I'll YouTube it and figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And you were just doing that before you started on how to get your pictures off of iCloud.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I hear this voice, and there's Mom with YouTube looking at how to take her pictures off of iCloud.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Well, a few weeks ago, my Jet Swifter stopped working. I can find out what was wrong, and I YouTubed and find out how to do it, and I fixed. I love it, and the thing that I tell my friends, 90% of my friends won't even touch a computer on iPhone. That gets me my goat, because I can't communicate with them.
Mm-hmm.
If they have an iPhone, they don't snap an email, the voice message. They just won't do it. And no matter what I do, and they come to me, "Rosie, can you order something for me from Amazon?" Well, you do it yourself. When we were trying to make appointments to get the COVID shot, I had 3 people that I had to make appointments for, because the only way you make appointments on the computer, and they would come here. "Can you do this? And can you order this from Amazon? So I just love it. I love to find out. I love to keep my brain active, because I see people my age who just sit in the chair and they have no clue what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I make it a point to figure things out before I call you for help.
And to be fair, she calls me before she gets in too deep, which is also good. Before she's like, I just gave all my money to a Nigerian prince. I get the phone call long before that happens.
No, yeah. No, I think for people my age or even younger than I, if you don't challenge yourself, you're going to become a blob or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, what's the point of being alive if you just sit in a chair and watch TV 24/7
Right.
or go to a doctor's appointment?
Right.
Most of my people do that. They go from the recliner to the doctor back to the recliner. I don't go to doctors that much.
Let's talk about your regular doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You've had her for a number of
30-some
years,
years,
30
yeah.
some odd years. I've never met her, but she seems to be great.
Best.
And you've talked to her about your walking and stuff like that, and she's told you basically just keep going, right?
That's what she told me, don't stop.
Yeah.
She said, just keep going. I told her sometime, oh, my joints. She said, it's okay. Just keep going. You're going to be fine. If you keep on going like this, you're going to be fine.
And at 85, you take 2 medications.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
And one of them you've taken for years, and it's for your thyroid. And
right.
and that happens to anybody at any age. And
Right.
when you're on that forever.
Right, yeah.
And that's all you take.
Blood pressure medicine. That's just been recently, a year or so.
And as an EMT, I would go on calls with patients who were half your age and were taking a bag full.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that is a critical thing. You know, people have different illnesses and stuff. But your doctor, am I correct, pretty much attributes your health at your age to the fact that you keep moving.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
she's told you that.
She told me that because I was there a couple months ago, and I said to her, people, you know, sometimes people go, oh my God, you walked 2 miles today. Oh my God, you went on a hot air balloon and you went on a zip line, and she says,
We'll talk about those little adventures later.
and you know, they just don't understand. They just can't figure out how do you do that. I just make it a point to do it because I love the outdoors, and I love watching the birds and different plants, and I just love it. The air is beautiful, and it just gave me peace and calm and my thoughts, and just keep going with that. And my doctor said to me, just keep doing it. Even if you just walk half of what you used to walk, which I'm walking less than I used to. Sure. I used to do about 3 to 4 miles a day, and I'm down to 2.5, 3 miles, which is still fine. But I will never stop walking. I will never stop walking. Okay. And you know, between Batstow and the Wildlife Refuge, then there's a park near me, 2 miles away, that they have a little trails. I go in there, and I try to walk no less than 2 miles a day if the weather is permitted.
Okay. And let's tell people about how crabby you get on the days when you can't walk for a few days.
Oh, I'm a lunatic. I'm a lunatic because I live in a condo.
And then I get the phone calls.
Yeah. I'm in a condo. I don't have a garden. I don't have it, you know, and it's a small place. And what do you do? So I just, you know. And when it's crappy, sometimes even if it's bad, I'll just get in the car and take a drive just to get out the house. Because in my opinion, it's not healthy to be in a house all alone.
Right.
And with TV. My TV doesn't go on until 5 o'clock at night. I just don't bother with that. So to me, it's driving, you have to be careful. You have to pay attention. That keeps your mind sharp. If you sit home and watch the TV 24/7, you're going to become a mush. Your brain's going to go to, you know. So that's, you know, even if I can't walk, I will go out. And even if I just take a drive around, you know, for a mile or two, and unless it's snow and raining.
Right. If the weather's really bad, you're not going to go out.
Right? But I can't, you know, I feel like a caged cat when I can't go out and walk, and you know that. You see me do that. You know,
yeah,
just love it.
I'm not much different than that. In that I get a little nutso when I'm busy and I can't get a chance to go out.
Yeah.
So when you're out there on these trails and you have your phone, you're using your phone to help you navigate around and figure out where you're at and stuff like that?
Well, there was an instant when I went to a trail and I couldn't figure out my way out of it because the trails were marked, and I was the second time I've been there. The first time I went with a friend of mine and another two friends. So this guy knew where to go, and we went with him. But the second time I went by myself, and it was very desolate. There was nobody around, and I'm walking, and all of a sudden I'm just in the middle of this big field, and there must have been 5 different trails that I could have went there. And I thought, well, I don't know which one. So I picked one. It wasn't the right one because I kept going further out, and I figured it was not the right there. Picked another one. It wasn't the same. Then I said to myself, well, you know, dummy, just figure out what your car is. So I went on my phone, and I punched in find my car, and the phone told me where my car was, and I just followed that out. And that's how I use my phone for that. You know, I always use my phone for that. I figured how to use my iPhone, and so that's how I do it.
And a lot of times when you go out for these hikes and stuff, you're going by yourself.
Absolutely.
Now, before anybody yells at me for letting my 85-year-old mom go out hiking by herself, you seem to be really good at knowing your limitations.
Absolutely.
You go to places you're familiar with.
Right.
If you go to places you're not familiar with, you take somebody with you.
Absolutely.
And some of your friends around your age do go with you. So I don't want to make it sound like they're all sitting home in the recliners.
Peggy goes with me. My friend Peggy goes with me. Yeah.
So you have friends who do go with you.
Yeah.
But you go to places like the state park where there's going to be park rangers and staff there who I want anybody. Before anybody, I get emails from people. Your mom's wandering around the woods all by herself.
No. I go. If it's a new trail or new thing, I'll go, and I won't go on the trails. I'll just scat it out and see what it's like, and then I look into it. I do more research online to see what kind of area it is. But generally, I don't. You know, these places I go are mostly the same places. Mm-hmm. You know that I've done before.
You're familiar with them.
I'm familiar with them. You know, Bat's I'm familiar with. The wildlife refuges right here, that like the back of my hand, you know, in the park and the next town over, it's fine. So, I don't venture out in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't do that.
And the wildlife refuge you're talking about is Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge. It's just a 5-minute drive from here, I think it is, and it has some really nice trails, and some of them are forested. It sits right on the bay, and you can look across the bay to Atlantic City and stuff, and pretty nice place. We've except in the summer when the bugs are pretty the bugs are pretty unreasonable out there. It gets a little crazy.
Yeah.
So when you come and visit,
that's my best part.
Out in either Colorado or Arizona when we're down there, and I've been out there with you. You don't go hiking there by yourself necessarily, but you do. Go out and walk around the neighborhood. Yes. Every day when you come visit. Right. And you've been out there in the desert with me hiking.
Oh yeah.
Not the really long hikes. No. And stuff like that. That's
my best part. Best walks, best hiking when I do with you.
Oh well, that's awesome. Thanks. Yeah. And I will tell people listening too that Mom's great at. If I'm taking a picture, she can hold some of my equipment and position it for.
I'm your assistant. Yeah.
And helping with that. So I think it's important for people to hear. Mm-hmm. You know, when I told people I was going to visit my mom for 85th birthday, come to visit you, I think a lot of people may have been, who didn't know you, weren't familiar with you, may have thought I was visiting you in a retirement center or anything like that. And I'll say that if that's where people are, that's fine.
It's fine.
It suits some people.
For some people, it's their place to be.
Right. Yeah. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm disparaging anybody who's in there. No. But when people listen to this, they find out you live by yourself. Your condo here is beautiful. A lot of pictures from some photographer.
God knows who he is. It's my son. I love him for that.
And you do that. I wanted people to hear your story and to hear about how you have been blessed with the ability to move and how you and your doctors attribute your health, both mental health and physical health, to the fact that
Yeah.
you know, you're out there. And not to say you haven't had challenges. You know, as we
Yeah,
age,
well.
we all face more and more challenges.
Right.
But you're healthy. I plan on being back here for your 90th birthday.
Oh, God help me. Yeah.
In a few years, you know,
Yeah.
come back here for your 90th
Yeah.
birthday. We're all planning your 90th birthday already.
We'll, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
But, yeah. No, I tell everybody I try to get out every day.
Mm-hmm.
I make it a point to go out, even if it's just to go, again, for a drive or just go to a store and walk around the store a little bit. Because the being alone, it's very depressing. It just
Right.
doesn't work for me.
Right.
I am not a person that can be alone. I have to be with people. I have to talk to people. I mean, I walk on the trails. I strike a conversation, and you know, I'm a people's person. I'm like you, you know.
And it's even worse for when you're alone and stuck indoors.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
So.
Yeah. But I do have, you know, I do FaceTime with my cousin in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
So communicate with her, you know. So I somehow, when I can't go out, I'm talking to somebody.
Right.
A couple times a day.
And your complex here where you live, the condo, the complex management does a really good job of keeping this place tidy. So in the winter, you can still, even if you just walk around the complex here.
Oh, they do a fabulous job cleaning up everything and make sure that the sidewalks are safe, and yeah, I can still walk in the neighborhood without, you know, without driving someplace.
Give them a little time to clear the snow, and you can go out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. No, they're, you know, that's fantastic what they do here. Yeah, just like I said, this is a message to all the senior citizens that are going to list me when in Colorado or on podcast. Whatever you do, do not sit home and watch TV. Even if you can walk far, if you just could walk 10 minutes to the corner and back, it's the best thing you could do for your mental state and for your body. And eating healthy helps too.
Right.
But outdoors, to me, outdoors is the most important thing. If I do nothing else, I want to be outdoors at all times. You know, that's just me. And even if when I don't walk, sometimes I'm out there. Even if they have the maintenance crew that cleans the yard, but I go out there and pick twigs and do stuff just to be outside. That's just the message I want to give to people my age. Do not. Just because you're 80 or you're 70, you might not be able to walk 2 miles or half a mile. Just go around the block and back. It might take you an hour, but at least you're doing it. That's the message I would like everybody to get from this.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I can't think of a better way to end this podcast with that message. I think that's the message and that's what I was aiming for as we were having this little discussion.
Yeah.
I think that's the message too.
Yeah, I never got COVID, and I said to my doctor a couple months ago, I said, you know, I never got, she said, you didn't get COVID because you're out there breathing the fresh air. And she attributes that to that, not getting COVID. Mm-hmm. Because I was
were careful with other things.
I was careful with mask and didn't go anywhere, but I was out every day during COVID. I was out walking every day. It was not that I stayed in the house.
Right.
So, but the message I want, the message I want to put out to people is, you don't think you could do it, but you don't know until you try it.
Right.
So try it, and if you fail the first time, just try it again.
Right.
Maybe today might not be the good day, but tomorrow might be. So just get out there and walk and enjoy so many beautiful things out there, the birds and the trees and the flowers and, you know, people's garden that you look at when you're walking by, and you meet people, you say hi, and, you know, just being outdoors is my life. I love it out there.
Great. I can't think of a better way to end the podcast. Mom, thank you so much for being here. Happy 85th birthday.
Oh, thank you,
It
my
was
dear.
wonderful spending a few days with you here. I know
Yeah.
we're going to see you pretty soon for the end of the year, Christmas and stuff,
Right.
so
Yeah.
we'll see you then. But thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome, my dear.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Outdoors Hiking Bob podcast. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Before you go, did you know you can rate and review our Studio 809 podcasts? That will help us because our egos really need to have thousands and thousands of listeners. But that helps our wonderful sponsors reach more ears too. And we do love our sponsors. So just go to Studio 809 or any individual 809 podcast in your iTunes or podcast app and click on ratings and reviews. Thanks.